This is the 301st episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the third week of February 2019. This episode is titled Ready for Spring 19. You don't even have to get through the opener?
No, I'm just laughing because
Already?
third week of February.
CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by Arkus, and we are hiring. If you're a Salesforce consultant or admin or interested in being in the space and want to be part of a unique and growing company, send your resume to careers@arkusinc.com or go to arkusinc.com/careers. And I think there's a whole bunch of information up there. And if there isn't, let me know. I'm your host, Jason Atwood, shiny and new for 2019. And joining me, co-host with the most, 301 times in a row, Justin Edelstein.
We took our well-deserved break after 300 episodes.
We were on a break, Ross and Rachel. We were on a break.
It was just a nice little sabbatical.
Was it a radical sabbatical?
It was super radical.
Cool.
Not like to the extreme level, but it was a nice little sabbatical. 2 months off, I think, since the last one.
Oh, almost to the day. Oh, no. It was more than 2 months.
Yeah.
Because we recorded the 300th on, December 17th.
So much has happened.
So much.
So
we're
little
still
has
here.
also happened.
We're both broken.
we're between the two of us, we can barely move.
We can barely walk. We have one good leg and a hip between the two of us.
One proper leg.
Yeah.
And one good back.
Yes.
One head of hair.
Hey.
Sorry.
Really?
Sorry.
Is that the way we're going to start 2019?
Sorry.
So, thanks for that.
My bad.
No, it's come around, goes around. Karma's a fun thing.
I've taken enough from you.
Not in 2019. This was my
Really?
year of being nice. Now it's ruined.
Oh.
It's ruined. You was going to be a whole
made
year
it
of being nice.
almost 2 months of being nice.
Yes.
Good for you.
That's because
You know
I
what?
wasn't
That's a good
recorded.
record.
It's a good record.
It's a good record.
You already had your one time this year. You're right. So you're done.
I know. I was looking for a good animated GIF of someone drawing a 1 on a whiteboard.
Yes. I sent you a picture of all the marks on my being right and you being right. All right. Well, welcome back. As we said in our I guess we didn't keep true. We didn't actually not do a podcast. We are going to podcast. We're going to continue podcasts. We definitely have made some changes. Nothing substantial, but a few things. One, we do have a new logo, which you've probably noticed on this and many other places. Should be everywhere now. It is also, you will notice if you look, the Easter egg in it is that there's a little asterisk right next to weekly. That asterisk means it's not really weekly, but we didn't want to rebrand the whole thing. So there you go. You're welcome.
It sounds better.
Ohana.
Right. Spring sounds great in January.
CloudFocus Weekly.
Is it really spring?
Asterisks. It is what it is. So we are going to continue to podcast. We are though going to do it when we want to, kind of like we did last year. So we're just telling you right now, we're going to do what we want to. Keep your feeds alive because, that's where you'll know, or you'll podcast or blog or whatever. Wherever the places you find us or know us, that's how we will try to come when there's stuff, when we have stuff to talk about. We're no longer commit to weekly because we can't do that. That's complete fail. But we'll put out podcasts. And again, sometimes they might come in spurts. Sometimes they might have series. Sometimes whatever. We're not going to change the content very much, but we might do some more special episodes because we like those. So we're after 300. Once you get 300, you get to call the shots.
Right. We should do some remote locations, some remotes.
No. Or right now in the wind tunnel. So welcome to that.
We're in the wind tunnel studio without a Rungu.
Couple other updates. So we did video the 300th episode.
We did
2 months ago. And because video, and this is why we don't ever do video, because video is terrible. First of all, we did it with 2 devices. Good job, Jason, saying let's do 2. Because, of course, 1 didn't work. So if we recorded with 1, we would have had nothing.
Right.
We did it with 2. We actually have the video. It's good. It's actually being edited and productionized. Just saw a little cut of it right before this podcast. Looks great. Don't know when that's going to be ready. Month, 6 years, don't know. Eventually, it'll be ready. But it's gonna look good. I think it'll be worth the wait. It will go up on our Arkus YouTube channel, which has all of 2 videos on it right now from 4 years ago. So if you want to get ready for that, subscribe to that channel because that's where it's going to go. We'll obviously mention it in this podcast and when it goes up.
Can it go in the app?
It can't go in the app because it'll be a massive file.
Can it be linked to from the app?
Sure, maybe.
Like linked to the YouTube channel? Or link to the YouTube video?
I don't know. We'll have to figure out where to link it. Maybe we'll link it from the website, like as a permanent thing. Here's the video to go watch, or we'll put it on a side. We'll put a side panel. Anyway, so that's coming. I just wanted to give an update on that because it's not like that one we actually did, and I think it'll be worth the wait. If you haven't listened to 300, go listen to it, or wait to see it and listen to it. All right. So this time we're just gonna go over. We're going to do Spring 19 because one of us has read the release notes all the way through.
Come on.
One of us. And although you wanted to, or we have Justin's rant corner. Let's check the Justometer.
I want a segment.
Called Justin's rant.
I want just the Grumpy Cat segment.
Grumpy Cat.
Yeah.
Here's the Grumpy Cat segment. All right, Grumpy Cat. What's in your Grumpy Corner? The Grumpy Corner.
Wait, I thought we were saving that for when I pick it as a negative.
Oh, I didn't know you were picking. Okay, fine.
I'll pick it as a negative pick.
Great. All right, so let's go on. Let's talk. So I do want to remind everybody who on the Venn diagram of people who listen to the podcast and read the blog posts, the blog continues, and the blog has lots of stuff on it. And we have actually separated out the podcast from the blog in the blog, so no longer is the podcast in the blog. It's on its own thing, which is great, but the blog is a lot, and we are putting out a lot of good Salesforce content. The blog is 97% Salesforce. So if you're looking for Salesforce content about administration, about how to set things up, best practices.
About anything. Customizable rollups and MPSP. Let's do it.
We do so much stuff in the
blog.
blog.
Apps, preparing for Pardot, and tons of stuff.
And I think that's sort of the issue for us is our blog is so much it's so much more content that we have that we can't even we can't even keep up with it. So I'm just going to read off of some of the ones that we have that have come out, so to whet everybody's appetite. Okay, all about customizable rollups in NPSP,
which
part 1
is part 1 of a 3-part
it's gonna
series,
be crazy,
by the way, and it's incredible.
This one we'll talk about how to drive user adoption. Let's see. I'm going to skip one. We're going to talk about preparing to use your Pardot palette. Amazing tips for selecting the right third-party application.
Yep.
I'm going to go back a little.
Tell me a story. Storytelling in Salesforce.
Yep. Higher educated data architecture at Dreamforce. Whoop, that was headed. Okay, that's back. Okay. Well, let's see. Free Salesforce App Exchange apps for nonprofits. Razor Dead migration tips.
Yep. Tons of good stuff.
Again, we post a lot, and this year the blog's going to go insane because we have a lot of bloggers, and so it could be 1 or 2 a week. Just saying, I know if you're a podcast listener, you're like, oh, I'll hear about it on the podcast. No, because we're not going to podcast as much as we will blog. So go to the blog, follow Arkus Inc. We post everything there on Twitter. Anyway, all right, so let's get back. So we do, though, have 3 blog posts, although one's coming next week, right, on Spring 19.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about it. Let's start with the Salesforce Spring 19 release highlights.
The highlights.
By Ryan
Owens. It's very simple.
Okay. But I'm just going to mess them all up so then it doesn't make any upset. All right. So Salesforce Spring 19 release highlights. Let's talk about it.
Sure.
First of all, go read it.
Yeah.
Did you honesty? That's what I do with my 13-year-old. Did you read the whole release notes?
No.
I mean, how far did you get?
I can't. It's not a how far did you get because I didn't start from the page 1 and
Oh, you do the HTML thing.
I go in and I read it on the web and I bounce to the topics that I want to read about, that are very relevant for me at that moment, and then I jump into the more generalized things, and then I go into very specific things.
I would love. So here's a little feedback from someone who's read probably 30 of these things. I always read them on PDF. And the reason I do them on PDF is so I don't do that. So I actually go through all of them and just read it. I read it like a document. And, yes, if there's stuff that I kind of am not as interested in, I'll scan through it a little. I do notice, though, the amount of replication in it is amazing. It says the thing, then it says the thing again, then it says the thing the third time. And I wish there was just a version that you could click a button and just say, just once, I want the detail, not the summary, because I'm going to read the detail. I don't want to read the summary, then read the detail, then read the summary again. It's very repetitive. So it's like 587 pages this time, but I swear to you, at least 200 of those 500 are the same data twice.
Right.
And I just wish they would kind of just have a version where it's just like, I want the detail and only the detail, and it's probably a 300-page document, but great, I will read it. And my new trick is, I did this the other day, kind of fun, is to do it when it's released in your org, and then get your big monitor, throw Salesforce, your org, and setup on one side of the screen, and throw the release notes in the other, and just scroll, and as you hit something fun, just jump over to your production org and turn it on for everybody.
No.
Wait, just jump over to your production org, just turn it on.
No.
Just enable it.
No.
Just do it, and then post in the chatter, it's on, everybody go play it.
I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, I do that.
So we should walk through this.
Well, let's pick one each.
Well, I want to also point out one thing real quick. So we write these when the release notes are first published. So sometimes they're pre-release, like the release notes, and sometimes releases just at the last minute get things kind of yanked from them.
Yeah.
Like I wrote something for Winter about like the new Pardot connector that got completely yanked out of Winter, right? So in this blog post, there is actually the create objects from spreadsheets feature, which sounded like such an amazing thing. It's not a thing. It's
amazing.
Not released. It's not in the release notes. The link is actually broken on our blog. Like if you click on it, it goes to like a
Catherine,
oops.
fix that.
It goes to an oops with an astro being like, sorry, can't find that link.
404.
I don't know if it's a 404, if it's just like a no, it's like I can't find your page. Try searching for some other thing. So that was a thing that was announced at Dreamforce, I think, and was like a big like ooh moment because you could take a spreadsheet or a Quip doc or whatever and just create an object. I am very skeptical of this feature in its entirety. I'm extremely skeptical of this thing. How do you do this? How do you set page layouts? Like, how do you say field level security?
What is this,
why would
Baltimore?
I do this? Why would I ever just take a spreadsheet and like just say, here's all my columns and here's all my fields and just upload it and expect for it to like really do all the things?
A lot of assumptions are going to be made. And you know what happens when you make assumptions?
I think this thing's going to be a nightmare for Salesforce over time.
If it ever comes out, it might be, but it's not out yet, so who cares?
So I'll just talk about one of
pick one of these, and
I'll pick
say
one.
your best.
There's two of them that are really awesome, but I'll pick one. I'll go with the open a window into productivity with pop-out utilities. Sorry, open a window into productivity with pop-out utilities.
First of all, not a very good title. You don't open a window into productivity.
Well, that's what it's called.
No, I know.
That's literally the feature. And this is a critical update.
Yes.
And
this is one of the ones I just went in and enabled, although you have a fit about me just having...
Yes, I do.
Well?
Like, best practices and all.
Yeah, except for if it's yours, then you do whatever you want. It's my house. I'll do whatever I want.
Great. You don't follow best practices.
In my own org.
Anyway,
Definitely
so we
not.
have lots of Lightning components in our org as we've been like transitioning to Lightning over the last year and a half or so.
2 years.
And 2 years. And it's taken some time because we have, our org's like 9 years old, 9.5 years old, almost 10 years old, whatever.
Happy birthday.
And we've built a bunch of custom stuff in our org, as Salesforce consultants will do, and like create extremely like streamlined and sometimes complicated processes for doing things. And we've tried to make it much easier to do things, especially moving to Lightning. It's like, let's not just move over, let's make things a little better. So we have a bunch of components that people have to interact with and enter data into, and putting them in the utility bar has been awesome, and people have loved that. And now the ability to pop them out and like kind of put them next to other things that you're working on at the same time and be able to like enter data into Salesforce in this little window that's popped out sitting anywhere is super cool.
Yep.
I mean, this is really a nice feature.
It is amazing, and I loved it when I could do it in Classic with a link, and it worked.
Yeah.
It's awesome that I can do it in Lightning now.
Right.
No, sorry. It actually
It's
it's
a really
good.
nice feature.
It's a nice feature. It just, I was super excited when we got it, and then I was like, oh, it's great. I enabled it and posted about it, and then I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. I had this in Classic, and I really liked it. And what we use this for is as a time booker, and you can kind of put the time booker in a different window so you can see the thing you're booking your time from, so you can kind of compare and contrast. Great feature. Love it. I'll pick increased data storage.
Yeah.
I will say, if you read nothing else in this release note, maybe pin views, but this would be the second. This is the first time. I was on a call with a client the other day. I was like, this is the first time that I have remembered, and I've been in this thing a long time, like, I don't remember the last time they increased. I don't remember it. Like, I cannot remember. I cannot even recall a time that they've increased the data storage.
Data storage.
Specifically. Files they did, I think, when they moved to content.
Well, content. And then when they, like, moved to chatter files, they were like, we can't actually, like, convince you to use this if we don't give you enough storage to actually store files. But this is really great. And just think about, for all of you who are in orgs that have, let's just say, 7 gigs of data in it.
Yeah.
And you've been paying Salesforce for increasing storage. Here's the time where you can go back to your account executive and say, hey, all that like extra storage I'm paying for, I don't need it anymore. And good luck with that conversation. I'm sure it's going to be a terrible one. Try and parlay it into some other thing or figure out some way to do it, because, 7's a lot less than 10 when it's in gigabytes.
Fun story. So this is a couple things. One, Salesforce is predatory pricing on their data storage. It's predatory. It's not
cool.
It's not even close. I think I just upped Dropbox or one of these places. I think I have 2 terabytes.
Yeah.
2 terabytes.
Yeah.
Was it terabytes or gigabytes? Must be terabytes. It's terabytes.
Well, if it's 2, it's probably terabytes.
It's terabytes. Well, gigabyte would be not. Yeah, for what, $99 a year, something like that.
Yeah.
This is predatory to
they
charge
realized...
this. Good from coming from something that was absolutely inexcusably bad. Thank you. But I will tell you, I had my AE approached me the other day and said, "Hey, I noticed you're over your limit."
Right.
maybe a month ago. And I said, yeah, we're over our limit. He's like, well, we have to do something about that. And I was like, no, actually, I'm not going to, because we're over our limit. I went and I looked in our org because of an app that we have to install to be part of the App Exchange. And what it does is it links all these leads into our system as people install our 2 packages, clone this user with a permissioner, and it creates 3 objects when it throws them in, and whatever. 3 records, sorry. And I went and I looked, and I'm like, yeah, the data in our system is actually from you. It's in order to have the App Exchange and to have our free products on your App Exchange, we have to install this app. And because our apps are popular, they have created all this data that we have no use for. We don't market to these people. We don't do anything with them. It's we don't need
the only need for it is
support. Yeah, it's rare.
Right.
That's how good these apps are.
We can be granted login access to someone's org if they give it to us.
So it's like, yeah, we're over. You now want me to pay you for more space to support the thing that I'm giving away to your community for free?
Right.
Ohana, no.
Right.
So
this hasn't hit.
It's in March.
It's coming a little later.
So that's great.
But yeah, I have a client that I'm working on their project, and they're at about 130% of storage, but they only have a gig.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they're like, oh, what do we do? And I'm like, you just wait. You just wait.
Wait.
It's going to sort itself out in like less than a month.
Great. Let's move on. Speaking of waiting,
spring.
Wow, this is going to be both of our podcasts. So, Justin Edelstein,
I wrote this.
Who hails from Long Island City, New York. Justin Edelstein writes, Salesforce Spring 19, speed up the gaps.
Yeah, speed up the gaps. So this is, my attempt at continuing to talk about Classic features being sort of ported over to Lightning in maybe sometimes the same exact way, sometimes slightly differently implemented, but also like some things that are done in Lightning as they are done differently, like, oh, it's actually a little faster to do it that way, even though the screens might load a little slower, right? So there's this little trade-off. So let's see. I will talk about...
Pick one, anyone.
I will pick one. Since I love this, I'm going to talk about level up member engagement with missions.
Good one. I'm going to pick the last one. It's
cool.
crazy.
So there's this new feature in Lightning community templates that allow for you as an admin to set up a bunch of criteria within the setup of the gamification tile. So you have to like turn on thank you badges in your community and so on. Like you've got to go through that process. Once you have the gamification tile, you can go in there and set these missions. And the missions are around like, you know, if a community member does this, this, and that, then they automatically get this badge.
Right.
And it's like a recognition thing, and and it really is like an engagement thing. Like all of a sudden, oh, I answered a few questions and I get a badge.
Right.
Or, you know, I posted 16 chatter posts and now I have a badge because I'm now at that level of engagement. So automation, you could have always done this sort of weirdly with Process Builder, but I think that this method works a lot better. It's interesting that it's all in communities and that the thanks badges are just now getting to Lightning Experience in pilot, even though they exist in Lightning communities. But that's a whole nother ball of wax.
That's a whole nother ball of wax. Those are fun. I am going to pick, just because I just went through this process, and I was going to give a little pros and cons on it. Embrace the future with the Lightning Knowledge Migration Tool. Generally available.
GA.
So I have two clients. One who used this, I think the first client ever to use this back when it was like beta, pre-beta, alpha. And then I had maybe a year and a half ago. And then I have another that just was doing this year, 2019. And I actually said, wait until this tool is in your production org before, because I wanted to do it like the week before. And I said, no, don't do it the week before. Do it when it's in production. There could be changes between what they had in the beta and what's in production.
Right.
This is, this is where I'll give Salesforce some big props, which, you know, always hurts me a little bit. So for those of you who don't know, Lightning in Classic and Lightning in Knowledge. Start again. Knowledge in Classic and Knowledge in Lightning. Unlike almost everything else, right? Leads in Classic, leads in Lightning, accounts in Classic, accounts in Lightning are the same. You click on, they're the same thing. They might look to you have Lightning pages, you can do all sorts of stuff, but the basic data, name, address, fields, field security, page layout, it's the samesies. Knowledge, I know the reason. They decided to say, no, Lightning Knowledge is going to be a different thing. It's actually a standard object in Salesforce, which is the right thing to do.
It completely is. They platformized it because remember the history of knowledge is what
was the company?
Instranet.
Was it No,
I believe that's what it was called. I think it was called Instranet. It was Alex Dayone's company.
Yep.
So when you see Alex Dayone speaking in the big keynotes about like Service Cloud and product and all that, it was his company, and it was the like, okay, we have solutions. Now we're going to bring in this like more smart kind of knowledge base.
Right.
And when they first integrated it into the platform, it stayed very much the way Salesforce always integrates new products into their platform. It kind of stays the way that the product already existed. And then it takes them a couple years to like actually platformize it.
Integration Cloud.
Right. And right now we're seeing that Lightning...
Or they kill it off.
Work.com. And we're seeing that like Lightning has become a bit of a catalyst for platformization of, I guess.
You can make up words.
Sure. Of specific features that are either like hacked in or like sort of squeezed in. Like, why did knowledge not have record types? Rather, it had data categories. Like,
because it wasn't on the platform.
Right, exactly. So now it has record types. Like, it has the normal things that you'd expect.
So great that they did that. I think that's the right thing to do. Interesting enough, this is one of the first times that they've actually provided a tool to migrate.
Yeah.
Show me the solutions to knowledge migration tool.
That ain't a thing.
It didn't happen. They never allowed it. No. So I love that they did that. I love that so this tool allows you to migrate from classic to, and again, it is not, you're taking data and you're actually moving it, you're copying it, cloning it kind of to a new object, and you're doing a whole bunch of other stuff. You're changing from having data categories to record types, and it is a massive change. They created this tool. There's a support group in Success for it. It's just a couple things to know. First of all, they used to make you go through all sorts of things in other sandboxes first, and you had to sign on with blood that you were gonna,
I imagine now you don't have to do that at all.
Well, they better, because you should read the documentation. They say, please read this massive amount of documentation with all these little bullets. Read it, because there's things that happen that you would not expect. For one, at the end of this process, once it's migrated you from classic knowledge to lightning knowledge, it removes the access from all the profiles to classic knowledge.
Oh, gone.
Removes the record, the categories. Gone. I've never seen a migration tool in Salesforce ever in my life.
Does it delete data, or can you just not access it anymore?
Well, it removes it from the profile of every user, which is not destructive, but whatever. But it does delete the data categories. Deletes them.
Oh, okay, I see. It's weird.
That's stunning. Like, I've never seen something that is migrating then delete things. So be very careful. Read it very quick. But at the end of the day, it gets you where you need to go. It moves all the files. It moves them the files. It does a lot of stuff. It's a great tool. Please read the instructions very carefully. Please test it out in a sandbox. Please test. I mean, I've almost stepped in a pile of poo on this one. So,
and I just want to say, just kudos also for supplying the migration tool, because if you think about just, other things that sort of need to change or should change when you move to Lightning, notes and attachments, right? Notes and attachments, you really should be using notes and files, two separate things, as opposed to the old school classic notes and attachments related list that has both. And the underlying architecture behind notes and attachments, as opposed to the new notes and files, is completely different. So migrating them, good luck. And luckily, the community has created some migration tools which work extremely well. But Salesforce should have thought about that. It's like, why? I get it sometimes with Salesforce, but the community did a great job with that. And that's what's so awesome about Salesforce, is that sometimes the community just steps up and says, here's a gap. I'm writing a tool. Here it is. We did it, right, with the permissioner. Has the mass adding and revoking of permission sets
adding's been solved a little bit better.
Yeah, but has it gotten any better? They haven't touched it. It was a check the box. You can do this. You can do it way better with the permissioner. I'm sure there are ways to move notes over, but they're really you're creating files. You're creating content versions and things like that, and it's not simple.
I can tell you why. I mean, my perception of why. One is, it's for that client who I said from 2 years ago. They're the type of client that walks in and says, they say, you need to build this. Yeah. You absolutely have to. You can't sell us on this product because you got us to move to this thing, and now you're trying to get us to this thing, and it doesn't work in here. Shame on you. Where are my millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of licensing going?
Right.
And then they go, we're sorry, and they go off and they build it. And then sometimes they go, oh, well, we built it, so we might as well make it for everybody.
And this did start as an App Exchange package, right?
No, private. It was always a private package.
But it was like you'd have to install it in the App Exchange.
You had to be enabled for a pilot program. They would.
Okay.
No, it was all very
it wasn't
like
just an App Exchange
no,
package.
and you had to go.
Okay.
It took weeks to get it in the org. Like this was not an easy thing. Okay, one last. Look at this. This went up today.
Yeah. Hey, Spring 19. Welcome back, reports and dashboards. Jason Atwood.
6 T's and 4 O's. So in our lightning debate, I think I threw out, and in my top 10 reasons I'm not going to, or top 10 things holding me back from lightning or keeping me in classic or whatever it was, that got me a lot of notoriety in the world. One of them was reporting, and there were some things in reporting that were just broken, not working well, don't feel good. And here I was, I guess on Valentine's Day, which was a Thursday this year. I was reading through and I hit the section on reports and dashboards, and I started finding like things like one after another, like, oh, that's great. Oh my goodness, this is so amazing. And I went and I posted in our internal channel, and then actually you, in my head, popped up and like, because you're like, well, why don't you write a blog post about it? So then, of course, took me, 15 minutes, and I wrote a blog post about it. So I just picked 4 things. I ignored the fact that joined reports are now working in Lightning. They're different, but they're now in Lightning. I ignored that. That's how cool these other features are. Mm-hmm. So why don't you pick one and I'll pick one, and then everybody else can go read the blog post.
Sure. So Scott, who's a project manager here at Arkus, showed me an example of a report that he built in Lightning, and I believe it was using like the new features and I think it was the stacked summaries.
Yes.
And he was like, I could never have visualized this and like before in the way that it needed to be done for the client. And like the client was very specific about how they wanted to see the data, and that solved it. And he's like, whoa. Like, this is like one of the best reports that he'd ever built. And he's really good at building reports.
Scott loves his reports,
loves dashboards, and he was like very proud of this one.
If you're a family member of Scott, it's like reports, lightning reports and dashboards, and then you on the list.
Maybe the dog, I don't know. But I was like, oh, that's really cool, because it allowed you to see a lot of things like across the plane or canvas, I guess, like that you otherwise wouldn't necessarily be able to see that way.
Yep.
So it was a little nicer formatting, I guess. And I think a lot of this is about like formatting and visual stuff as opposed to like the actual report engine underlying.
No, I mean they're definitely messing around with it. At one point, and this was some feedback I gave during at some point, where you have the classic report, you have the new report builder, and you have the pilot report version. And I was like, do you realize? One. Yeah, do you realize that like you have 3 different versions now of a report builder?
4.
Why? What's the other one?
The other one was the before the drag and drop builder in Classic.
Oh, right.
Remember that one where you step through 7 screens to build a report?
Yeah, that's been a long time. But that's still alive?
They sent out a notice that they were finally going to be killing it off soon.
That's funny.
So it does still exist.
That's funny. I mean, conditional highlighting, it's beta, it's great.
You love conditional highlighting.
What I liked about this was I just went in and clicked on a report that I have conditional highlighting in Classic on, and it was just in Lightning, and I was like, oh, there it is. That's so good. These two, I'll just combine them because they're kind of combined. So one is dashboards went from 3 in Classic, right? 3 columns of data, of components that you could put onto a dashboard in Classic, which is always a massive limitation.
3 and only 3, and they all are the same size.
And then, no, you could have different sizes. You could have medium, large, and small. You could change the column sizes. Strange, you don't know that. But then you could go to...
strange.
Yeah, you can go...
I didn't know each column. I thought you had to just define, like, all of them are small. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't even think about these things.
Then they went to, in Lightning, they went to 9. And it's like, wow, 9. I can do so many things. I can make these cool components and put them in different areas. And that's so awesome. Then they just went to 12. And I originally looked at it as like 12. That seems excessive. I get it. Your speaker goes to 11, but going to 12, it seems a little bit too much. But then they released a thing called compact components, which can be 1 by 1 components for a dashboard component, and then the 12 made sense because now you can line up at the top or whatever or down the side 12 little things that show you data, and it's great. It makes a dashboard look like a dashboard, and you can throw them in and around other things. It's really nice. The example they have in the release notes are great. I immediately went to one of my favorite dashboards in our org and just changed them up and put them around and went, oh, that's beautiful. Because usually, like, if you just want a metric number, you don't need to take up a lot of space.
Right.
Like, just show me the number, 3, 17, 192, whatever it is. Great for that. So awesome. Thank you very much for these. This has stopped me from going back to Classic for reports. I don't do it anymore. Like
they still run a little slower in Lightning.
They're always going to run slower.
It's unfortunate.
It'd be nice if you just admit it. Admit it. Okay.
I will not
Speaking of
admit
admit things, so next time we have some more content. If we come back, that could be a running gag. This is the last episode of CloudFocus Weekly. Maybe. And then if we get another one, you get another one. I made some predictions for the year, and I also wrote a blog post that's maybe a little controversial, so we'll come back and maybe talk about that. Maybe do a special episode. Let's do some picks, though. Let's head off these 2019 with some nice picks.
All right. So by nice, you mean I shouldn't start talking?
Yeah. Are you doing a negative pick again? Are you doing what do you call it? Are you a grumpy cat pick? Grumpy pick?
Welcome to Grumpy Corner.
Grumpy Corner.
There's a cat here waiting to be pet.
Okay, I'm just going to leave that there, and you're going to stop talking, and you start talking about your pick. Thank you.
It's a trap. All right, so let's talk about Lightning for Gmail.
Yeah, let's. You were so excited to turn this on in our org.
I was so excited to turn this on in
hey,
our
everybody,
org.
come use the Lightning for Gmail. It's so cool.
Well, here's the deal. We use Cirrus. And
this
Cirrus,
episode brought to you by Cirrus.
Well, Cirrus has a cost associated to it. And then it was like, well, what do we actually use it for? And it turned out we kind of don't use it for much aside from logging emails, some people, and syncing calendars. And I'm like, well, Lightning for Gmail does both of those things just fine and has some more things that are quite interesting. So let me start off by saying if you just looked at it and then turned it on and threw it into your Gmail and tried it out, you'd be like, whoa, this is great. And I would agree.
Well,
it's
just
really
name
cool.
some of the things that are cool.
So
we did.
When an email comes in, you can open up the side panel and it brings up records like, whoa, it's this contact or this account. And you can click on the account and then you're looking at it and it looks like Lightning. It really looks like it would look maybe on the mobile device.
You're saying that Lightning for Gmail looks like Lightning.
Exactly like it. And it has tabs for related, and then you could go see all the related lists, and then you could jump into things, and you can create new things with actions within the publisher panel. And then you can associate the emails to things. It also shows up in your calendar, so you can associate calendar events with things in Salesforce, things like people, accounts, or opportunities, or leads, or anything really, custom
all the good
objects.
Things.
And then there's the behind the scenes Lightning for Gmail calendar sync, which is at the server level. So, while you still have to have this extension running, it's syncing your calendar behind the scenes, which is cool. And you can add a field on the Salesforce side on the event record and show the attendees and see if they've responded. And once you've set it all up, you can even send out the event invitation from Salesforce interface, and it gets fulfilled by Google, which is pretty neat. That's the big promise.
Let's just go back in history because this is one of our biggest bugaboos forever.
Right. And this is a big thing.
We have built solutions to solve for this.
Yes.
We used to use the Apereo calendar sync,
correct.
And then stopped using that because when Cirrus, we got all in the Cirrus. But we used to build, just so you know, we have, and still in our org, and I want it moved. But we had this thing that would monitor the events and send you notifications when people would say yes. We're probably the only people on the planet who used Salesforce events.
Yeah, we used Salesforce's calendar as our main calendars and sent invitations from it.
Right.
And note, when you do that, when we did do that back in like 2011,
and built the ability to pick people who were insane.
Remember the
chatter posts.
You could not accept those events.
Right. There's no accepting.
You got them. It was kind of an email, and then there was a button that you would click, and it would be like a download.
Right.
To then like add it to your Outlook. But if you were using Google Calendar, for example, you're downloading this thing, and there's nowhere to put it.
Right.
So people would be like, I can't even accept your meetings, at which point we decided to stop doing that. While it's nice to see all the meetings that you have in relation to the people and the things, that's great. Well, this was to solve that problem, and it sounded great, and it looks great, and it works like not great. So
I think I actually think you're being harsh, because we have found a few things that are not working correctly. We don't know at this point where they are coming from.
All we do know is that they started happening when this got turned on.
That's true.
That is not a coincidence when it comes to technology. We know this.
So two things. Well, so it's always coincidence. I also have powers over technology, so if I come close to computers, apparently they start working, according to my wife.
Yes,
so
she's correct.
So two things we've been noticing. Well, one thing is, if you're going to do Lightning for Gmail and you use some other service, please know that you need to go turn off that other service
first.
Go turn
the other thing off.
And know how to turn it off, and don't just think that it just magically, make sure it's turned off. Go into your preferences on your thing, in settings, and see your connected apps and see when they're thing, because you might have something else that's also syncing at the same time. That's very bad. Here's what we've had, and I've seen this. We now have I think three different things we're seeing.
Let me tell you what we're seeing. 3 different things. One, we're seeing events just get deleted.
That's no fun.
Invitees just have the event literally deleted off of their calendar before they can even accept it or decline it,
right.
and oftentimes after they've already accepted it,
right?
Which is even worse. It's like, I accepted this and now it's gone. Because I had a situation yesterday where I had accepted a meeting from somebody 3 weeks ago, and then it got deleted, unknown to me, because it was from 3 weeks ago, and then someone else dropped another invite on that same time, and then the person who was like, hey, are you coming to my meeting? I'm like, what meeting? And it's like, ugh, it got deleted.
And for this firm and the way we think about our hard landscapes and calendars, I can tell you, the idea that the data on my calendar might not be accurate,
not okay.
It absolutely makes me apoplectic.
That is the biggest of the big issues.
Deleted. And I had one that we were doing internal, so it was an internal to external meeting. He threw it in my calendar, and then I watched it get deleted. I went and saw it. I found it in recycling bin in Classic, and then undeleted it. I added another. It was crazy.
Yes.
And again, so
that's one. Two,
that's terrible.
Two, it will duplicate. It will duplicate events oddly, and for no rhyme or reason. It will just duplicate an event, and then the product of that duplication of the event is that on occasion, since now these things are in sync with each other, Salesforce and Google, and you can actually send out an invite from Salesforce, if it's screwing around with the Salesforce record, it this morning it happened where an invite went out from me to a whole bunch of people, I imagine, that I wasn't even the organizer of.
No.
I don't even know how that happens.
It's sent from Google. So the invite was you and me and some other people, internal, external, made by an internal person.
Right. Neither of us.
You.
Right.
And then this morning I get the invite to the meeting that I've already accepted from the other person. I got it from you to me and to the other people, but not everybody, which was weird.
Super strange.
And then I sent it to you and I said, why is this coming from you? And it did show up and it wasn't the same meeting request because it showed up as a separate meeting. It's not like...
Oh, and they're both on my Salesforce calendar, and they both have records, and they both have created dates and modified dates, and it's hey, Salesforce support, here.
figure it out.
And they can't. Like, they're like,
what's
going on? I'm in
make
Premiere, and I'm getting escalated all the way up, like, the tiers. But they're like, you know, it's like, send me the reproduction steps. I'm like, the reproduction steps are create an event and watch it get deleted randomly. Like, there's no way to
raise
really
your hands up like this,
Yeah,
and you go,
like
aliens?
Shoulder shrug.
Shoulder shrug?
So I sent them more examples today of like events and links and things, and they have screenshots of like looking at my Google Calendar that has like a triplicate, and then in Salesforce a duplicate.
First of all, if you're listening to this podcast, which I know all billion of you are,
and you work on this product, contact us.
No, not that. I can get there if I need to. It's more of if you've seen this stuff as well. The only thing I don't know, did you hit over to known issues and search?
I didn't, because I put in a ticket immediately with Premier support and figured that they would like, you know, be like, "Hey, we know about this already."
Anyway, I don't think that's their first step. But if you've had this issue and you're seeing this, please, we need more evidence. I as I said to you this morning, because we were going back and forth in email, as we're apt to do, way too early. And I was actually like, you know what? This makes me feel good that it's between at least Google and Salesforce, because these are two companies I pay not insignificant amounts of money as a company to make this stuff work. And it used to be when I paid, let's say, Apereo or Cirrus, it was this third party that you had to go, like, you'd go Cirrus, you'd be like, it's a problem. They go, it's a Google. And then you go, oh, okay. And then you go to Google, they'd be like, it's not us, it's this third party. They're trying to do something crazy. And you're like, okay, go back to Cirrus. Cirrus, we think it's, you know, it's you. Google says you. No, it's not us, it's Salesforce. Go to Salesforce. Oh, it's not us, it's a third party. You know, third parties don't know that. So what I like about this scenario is at least it's Salesforce and Google. One of you people, it's you. Now, it could be us. That's the other thing is...
I have not ruled that out.
Maybe there's some code, some random code that Roger wrote 17 years ago that's doing something.
No, we looked. Premier Support and I, we went through, we looked, hey, are there any triggers on events? We looked. There are two of them, but they're both inactive. They're not firing. We looked at logs. Nothing's firing. We looked at the configuration. It's all set up correctly. We looked at it on the Google side. It's all set up correct. Like, everything is set up to the T.
All right, we got to get out of here. Yeah. So, Lightning for Gmail.
That's my negative pick / rant / anyway, if you can get it to work and it works, it's actually a good product.
I will pick an amazing application that is ready for prime time.
Totally ready.
And
totes ready.
It's totes ready. Although it does have our old logo, and that kind of makes me angry. But that's okay. So I know we announced this in the 300, but I'm going to pick it just once so it goes in the official picks. We released apps for our podcast. So CloudFocus Weekly, asterisk, has its own app on the iOS store. It is free, and it allows you to get the podcast, listen to old podcasts. You can get back to any single one, like in, I guess, a long history of them. Here's the one thing that I'll say why you want. Again, we're not getting paid. You don't get anything else. This is more something fun to do. For the 300th episode, if you watch the video and if you hear us talk on it, we talk about the infographic that we did for the 300th episode, of which I'm looking. Oh, it's not here.
No, it's in the other room. On my desk.
We did an infographic, kind of fun. The PDF to that. So if you want a copy of it, the PDF, so you can print out and put on your own desk.
Obviously.
It's in the app.
What?
So if you go into the app,
computer?
Yeah, if you go into the app, into the 300th episode, there is if you click on it, there is a little button that says it's called the button looks like a little present, and you click on that, and then in it is the app. So we are going to release stuff.
So cool.
That is only specifically for into the apps. So that's it. That's the only reason you use this. Other than if you just want to be notified, yes, you can set notifications, all that. Please don't do that. Don't get notified about our podcast. But anyway, so enjoy that. CloudFocus Weekly for iOS on iTunes. It is on Android. Maybe I'll pick that next week. No, I won't. All right. Well, that's it for us. Wrapping up. Follow us in all the places. Be in all the places. Enjoy. Welcome to 2019. We are still podcasting. Yes, someone did tweet at me the other day, so here's the answer. Yes, we're podcasting. We'll be back whenever we want. Until then, it's Justin and Jason saying enjoy those cloudy days.